Hello. Just start off by telling us your name and tell us what you do.
My name is Reginald Anthony Moss Sr. I'm a retired educator.
Okay.
I was once principal here at Stocks Elementary from 1985 through the end of the school year, no, through Christmas of 93.
Okay. And we're glad to have you here as a part of our Legacy Day. Tell us about a little bit about your growing up.
Well, I was born and raised in Suffolk, Virginia. Attended Andrew J. Brown Elementary School and then Booker T. Washington High School. I graduated from there in 1954, long before schools were integrated, but that was the year of the decision, the Brown versus Board of Education, which said that school segregation was unlawful. I left Virginia and went to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida on a basketball scholarship. I played and stayed down there for 5 years. I actually changed my major after a year and a half and lost about a half year's work. Courses I had passed, but I couldn't use for graduation once I changed my major. They were major courses of concentration. And I finished the curriculum course for health and physical education in 3.5 years. Thereupon I was fortunate to get a job teaching in Tallahassee, Leon County Schools, and I taught physical education, which was mainly activity in an elementary school, Southwest Elementary School in Tallahassee, Florida. I also worked with the football team at Lincoln High School and got experience coaching there, and also the county, excuse me, the county athletic league that we had with the elementary and junior high schools in Leon County, Florida. After 2 years, I was really working my way back to home, to Virginia, and I was looking for a job, and I found a job in Tarboro. And I moved to Tarboro August the 12th, 1961, with my wife and my first child. Thereafter, I worked at Patilla High School from 1961 through 1970, when school integration took place in Tarboro City Schools. At that point in time, I became head basketball coach at Tarboro High School and assistant principal at Tarboro High. And I kept that job, did a successful job. It was probably one of the most rewarding periods in my life because of the adversity that was going on. But we were fortunate here in Tarboro not to ever lose a day of school, because the people in the community wanted it to work.
So tell me about a little bit about the adversity that was going on during that time.
Well, a lot of people didn't want the schools integrated, and they worked against it, talked against it, schemed against it, and tried to create a situation which was full of havoc. Protests and bomb threats, all sorts of vicious threats, but none of them actually took place in Tarboro.
Was your life ever threatened?
Not that I'm aware. I did have some hard looks and some not so tasteful comments thrown my way.
I'm sure.
Doing that the first 2 years. Then after like 70, 71, 71, 72, things started to settle off because people had decided it was going to happen whether they wanted it to happen or not. During that time, we had what we call white flight from the public schools with the onset of these private academies that popped up all around. And it was, in my opinion, a good loss for them to go their way and do their thing and let us go on with public education without the distractions.
Okay. Um, what is one of your most memorable moments as an educator?
Hmm. Probably the high point of my experience was winning the state championship in football, 3A, at Patel High School in 1970.
Okay.
Uh, Black high schools were disappearing during that time, and we really had to scrap around to find and put a schedule together. And so we ended up playing 4A schools that were still available, and some 3A schools that were still available. We were actually 2A size, but in order to get games, we had to play up and play against 3A and 4A schools, and we were able to come out on top in the end.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, tell me about one of your most memorable students.
Hmm. That's a hard one because there have been so many. Was fortunate the town and the parents of the kids who came through the school, Tarver City school system. They were talented, highly motivated, and to a great extent highly supported by the community. One of the most successful that I can recall is Dr. Brooks Peters. Brooks played basketball for me at Tarver High School when he was a junior in high school. He was not a stellar ball player, but he was a steady ball player. He was savvy, he was smart, had good athletic skills, and he was a top academic student, was awarded a Morehead Scholarship, went to Carolina, and then from there to med school, and since has retired from being a physician here in Tarver and Edgecombe County. He came back here to work. And so that relationship with him, which was a good one, lasted and still is alive to today. I'm trying to get him to come out and play senior games with us. He's a runner.
So, tell me this. You said that you were trying to work your way back to Virginia. Why Tarboro?
Well, Tarboro was the closest job I could get up in this area. And my intention was to stop off here for a year or two and then get an offer for a job in my hometown. And it came to pass. My mother called me after the first year here, which would have been 62, 63 school year. My mother called me and said, "We got a job for you here at the old Booker Washington High School. Won't you come?" I said, "No, Mom, I don't think I'm going to come." She said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I got a championship football team here, and I'm not walking away from it." And so I stayed another year, and then I was stuck. I mean, the community, the faculty, the administration were so generous to me and my family that I figured this was a good place to raise my children. And I've stayed in Tarver ever since.
Okay. Tell me about your tenure here at Stocks Elementary.
That was an exciting time. And my predecessor, Hilbert Lee Stocks, was also my mentor as an elementary school principal because my orientation was as a secondary person.
And Mr. Stocks is for whom the school is named for.
Yes. When I became a principal at Princeville Elementary in when was that? About 1977. I was new at the job, but I knew him and had known him for 8 or 10 years because we worked in the same system here. And I came to him and said, "Elbert, I need some help. I don't know anything about elementary school curriculum. Give me some pointers and help me succeed. Because there's some folks who don't want me to succeed. I've gotten this appointment, and that's what it was, an appointment. Mm-hmm. Because I had had some rough times with the superintendent, who was seated at the time, for some shenanigans about the high school principalship. Mm-hmm. He was less than truthful with me about the situation and actually encouraged me not to apply for the position, though I was interested. And then the following day he announced that a principal had been named. So I actually had grounds for a suit, which I had investigated. And when I talked to him about it, he and the school board members realized, yes, they had done wrong. They had broken several of the school board policies around that hiring. And as I call it a trap, he offered me the principalship here at Starks. Mr. Starks at the time was really suffering bad with cancer and really wasn't working. He didn't finish that school year, though he had enough leave time and vacation time to stay on payroll, but he was on sick leave for, I guess, 4.5 months before he passed away. And I felt like it was a trap because he offered the job hoping that I would not take it, because when I tried to negotiate some, he was very adamant and kind of ugly about it. You take that or nothing. That's what I offer you, and you turn it down, and you find another job somewhere else. This kind of threat about it. Anyway, I took the job under duress and was successful because the first week of school, I recommend one teacher be terminated and replaced her after about 3 days of school. Because when I was walking around the classrooms, she was not following the curriculum. She was not presenting grade level material to the students, going through the motions of having school. And I saw it. I called her on it. She did not change in 2 days, so I gave the superintendent notice that he needed to give me another teacher because she could not work here. And that panned out. Well, that, I think, put a little fear in the rest of the faculty members who were not as receptive to my administration. And it was like walking on cotton around here for several months. But anyway, we got through it, and I stayed for 7 years.
That's awesome.
And, but it was tough, and I was being programmed to fail, and I realized that coming in. But with a lot of prayer and hard work and support from people around me who had good thoughts in mind and my welfare and the benefit of the kids, we got through it. We got past it.
With the generation that we live in now, there are a lot of kids who feel the way you did, even as an adult. They feel as if they're being programmed to fail. And some of them actually believe what they've been told by somebody out there that had said that they're going to fail or they're not going to be anything. What would you say to those students?
I'd say listen to it, but keep it in perspective and consider the source of the information or the advice. A student will learn what they live. If they live with ambition, with industry, they can succeed. It's not enough to just coast and to just fold in all your efforts and whatnot because somebody says you can't do it. I wrote a poem one time about I can being more important than IQ. And if you really want something bad enough and really willing to work hard enough, there's very little that you can't do. And there's more to the point than that, but anyway, that was one of my impulses to be poetic with thought that was going through my mind. When a young man at Princeville who was trainable, he was classified as trainable, TMH, and my exceptional children's teacher was really working really hard to try to teach him to read because that's something he said he wanted to do. And one day, at the end of the school day, she came by my office in Princeville and said, Mr. Moss, I got something you need to see and hear. And it was well after 3:30 and 2:30 when school was out. I mean, more than an hour after that. And